Hey guys, what's up? How are you? I'm back, and I was trying to figure out how I'm gonna do this because there's tons and tons of reviews out there of this, and but I have picked it up. I found it not too long ago, and I haven't had really the time to sit down and you know review it like I was just saying. And I've seen so many different reviews on this, but I want to do this where I can give you guys, the viewers, maybe a different outlook approach, the best that I can with the best of my ability, knowledge, and thoughts based on what I've seen and have in the figure collectible, adult collectible scene, that I've been doing for so long. So it's me, as you guys know, Hebot, and I'm your host. And this is another episode of Toys in My Closet. And at this point, it could be in your closet as well, because we're a family here, obviously. So let's get into it. This is the brand new 22 moving parts of articulation DC Multiverse Batman 7-inch scale from Mcfarlane Adult Toys and Collectibles. And as you can see, we have them here in the now what would be standardized window blistered box, displaying the figure as you see here right in front of us, with the DC logo on the bottom, multiverse across, and with the Batman word on the bottom, as you see there, saying what character this is based on. And as you can see here, we have him up close and personal in his window box, as you see there. Looking pretty decent, and obviously 22 points moving parts on top, Mcfarlane Toys, and this figure is not suitable for people or children under the age of 12. Then you turn it around, it's very thick in width. Batman Detective Comic 1000, DC Universe on the top, and Mcfarlane Toys on the bottom. And we'll move to the other side and we'll turn it around in the window opening. So see Batman there, DC Multiverse there, and Mcfarlane Toys in the bottom. And then you turn them around, and of course we're going to have the actual Mcfarlane Toys on the top, DC Detective Comics Batman, and this is the artwork based on that comic book. As you see there, we got characters like Scarecrow, Joker, and then the other cross sales of other characters available in this first wave and line. Nightwing, Owlbat, Green Lantern. Well, how actually that's the Green Lantern from, let's see, I forget his name. John Stewart, I think it is, from the animation, The Batman Who Laughed. And then, the Harley Quinn that's supposed to be from the comics, but also really looks way more from the animation. Then all the social media from Mcfarlane Toys there, and, DC and Warner Brothers obviously being property holders. And what are some of the things that come to mind that I want to speak on? Is that Mcfarlane is, as we all know, a comic artist. Before he became a company toy sculptor, and a lot of the things and references that you see here in this Batman figure, a lot of people are not liking or complaining about, or not really probably seeing some of the reasonings why some of these things are done the way they're done, is because Mcfarlane's thought process is not of a figure sculptor making toys. He's he creates things and sculpts based off his mind and style of artist in paper, as a comic book, artist, obviously. And I think that's what we're seeing transition and translate here in the toys themselves, which is making it feel like it's kind of not consistent or hit or miss. But the truth of the matter is, it's just his, at the end of the day, it's just his take and his, vibe and concept of what type of characters that he makes and how he wants them to look. So let's take him out of the box and let's take a closer look and see what he has to offer and talk a little bit more in depth about the figure and compared to other things. And here we have Batman out of packaging. And again, it's one of those cases, after I took him out of packaging, had a little time in my hands with him to kind of fiddle with him and see how he works as far as articulation, paint applications, and displaying him and his accessories. It's one of those things, again, like I said with my Superman review. This figure is not indicative of what you see in videos, in pictures, and to be quite frankly honest with you, in packaging. Even when you see him in packaging, it kind of feels like something's off when you're looking at him. But once you take him out of the shell and pull him out and start playing around with him and really see and get a feel what he has to offer, what his material is like, and how well executed he really is, you realize that it's a much better figure than what it represents and than what you're gathering through the videos, obviously, the pictures, and again, in looking from it from the outside in, from the packaging. He's very, very well executed. And the vibe I'm getting is I see a lot of people complaining that his head is too small. I don't really think the head is really too small. And I'll try to prove that later by showing you some other DC stuff that I have, in particular Batman figures, that kind of went for that same look. Batman is in his comic books, if you notice, a lot of his comic books have a more Japanese anime style to them. And one of the things that the Japanese anime people do when they draw stuff, they like to make proportions of the bodies more broader and bigger, while the head looks a little bit smaller. And I think that's the style and look that Mcfarlane tried to do or prove to get done with the execution and look and aesthetics of this Batman figure, as opposed to the Superman, that he looks more comic book, more majestic, more broader. And I think it's because that's how most comic books of Superman are drawn. They're not really drawn like with an anime style, because Superman is more of a solid, more brutal type character, but with sophistication, as opposed to Batman. He's more of an agile human being that's always doing parkour, acrobatics moves, rolls, flips, using a lot of gadgets that makes him harnessed up and climbing things, and martial arts with his fighting style. So I think that was the idea behind it. I think it was to give it that blend of a more modern take with obviously the appeal and respect of the original Batman material. So here we have him out of packaging, as you can see, and I left on the side so you can see that the packaging inner gut is the same, with the same execution as before, with different little box art in black and white that looked inked, really. You see how it says "Friend, World's Best Comics," with superheroes in there of comic book of yesteryears, right? Like the dynamic duo right here. It looks like, inside, for those that like to collect and keep things mint on card, to have some, a nice presentation within the bubble blister card. And you see it comes with another stack card, like a Donruss Classic, made with a very good cardboard that you can preserve. And really, it's probably to appeal to the teenage kids that like collecting things like Pokemon cards. Card collecting at a teenage age and adult age is something very common. So I think this was the idea behind this. You do it based off the comic book. They look at the card. Not only would they get influencing and reading the comic book by the comic book art in the cover that the card represents, but also collect the figures of these universe and these stories within those comics. And of course, it comes with the display base. So very nice that he includes that, because a lot of figures still can't really stand up quite right. And the addition of having a stand come without having to go out and purchase it separately is always a nice touch. So now let's take a quick look at his accessories. And here is another example of what I said about what you see on camera is not really representative of what it is in real life. I've been seeing a ton of videos where they showed this, saying that this Batarang was super big and super fat, right? But having it in hand, you know, it is kind of large, yes, right? But it's not overly large, like huge. It just has an elongated look, which it should be, because it's a Batarang, and then it has a thickness to it for, I believe, quality of not breaking, and also to keep within the parameters of what is supposed to be allowed, because in order for him to sell this in stores like Walmart and Target, in the aisles where they sell other toys for younger kids, it has to have a certain parameter. Now this gun here, like I looked at a lot of videos, and even in mine here, the camera, because it's so up close and personal, this wire here looks like it's super duper huge and thick. But when you have it in hand, you realize that it is thick, but it's not really that big. Especially that this is a 7-inch scale figure. I've seen weapons, to be honest with you, from the DC Multiverse and Universe and Classics from Mattel that had weapons like this that were even bigger for 6-inch figures. So this is his, you know, grappling gun. Very nicely done with that gunmetal silver. The black rope with the nice sheen, and the bat symbol at the end that looks like the owl from like shout outs to Review Spot from Clash of the Titans, the classic one with the stop motion robotic owl. Not only that, okay, this also has this nice black sheen to it that looks like a bat. But to try to reference a Batarang from another figure, which you guys probably may or may not know, you see when it's next to it side by side, it's really not indicative of what it looks like on camera. Okay, this is, you know, this is a boomerang for Multiverse Batman Beyond that just came out, and he's 6-inch, and then this is for the new 7-inch Batman, and you see it doesn't look any much more bigger in width, as you can see there, than this one. Yeah, this has some thinner things, but even the thickness is not as much. To give you a comparison, this would be the middle section, the middle ears, see? So I just think that people, because they haven't seen up close and personal their other collection lines every day, you know, when they review so many other new products such as this, they seem to forget that maybe it's not as bad as we think. Because if I pull another weapon out real quick, you probably guys won't even recognize. You probably won't even know where this is from. It's from another DC character in the 6-inch scale. This is his gun. And this thing is way thicker and looks huge in comparison to this little thing here. You see? And the thickness. You see? Look at the handle. And this is for a 6-inch figure, and this is for a 7-inch figure. So again, I do not think that the camera in the video is really indicative of how things are as far as big and thick and length. I think it's something we see that way once we get used to seeing other things one way, and we don't really remember with our photoscopic memory of how they really look in comparison to what we've gotten before. So now let's take a look at Batman up close and personal. And here we have him on another accessory that he brings, which is his display base. As you see there, in the display base, it's round. It has the DC logo, very simple, but nice and elegant looking, and pretty much serves its purpose in many different ways. And also, out of the packaging, because I was able to pull it out, I also have the nice stacked card with the beautiful artwork, nice and glossy. As you can see, this thing is really, really thick, as you can see. And then in the back, it has a little bio, of Bruce Wayne. If you guys want to check it out, saying as a child, Bruce Wayne watched his parents were brutally killed in Gotham City's crime alley. Traumatized by their death, he devoted his life to become the world's greatest weapons against crime, the Batman. To become the ultimate vigilante, the Dark Knight disciplined his mind and body to reach the pinnacle of mental and physical superiority. He's a master of detective and an expert martial artist, but his greatest weapon is his mind. Batman has a plan for every occasion, as well as a high-tech weapons gadget and vehicles to assist him in his relentless pursuit of justice. So that's the bio real quick. So this is really nice. Like I said, just reminds me of the old days when you traded in baseball Donruss cards. So the idea for teenagers to get attached to this, and teenagers that are into things like Pokemon, I think it's a fitting touch. And I think once you have them all stacked up in a bunch of cards based off whatever character he's going to do going forward and what comic book, it's going to be really nice to have a nice bookshelf displayed with all the cards in them. So again, now let's take a look at Batman. And there he is. I have a little background drop that I had from back in the day from, believe it or not, a Spawn figure that used to crawl down the wall. And I think it's very fitting because it has that gritty, gothic type look that we all know and come to expect from Batman and his universe. I don't know how well it works with the green in the back, but, I'm trying here, people. Please, don't judge me. Don't judge me. So, here he is. Let's take him out of the bag and out of the stand and take a closer look, as you guys already probably seen in 1,000 other reviews, right? But this is mine review, so here we go. And right away you'll notice immediately that he has a really, really nice head sculpt and face sculpt. His chin line is really nice and defined. The mask is really lined up really well with his mask. He kind of looks like a more mature looking version of the Batman animated one, but at the same time, like I said, he has also that Japanese anime style look to him. So the paint job is done really well, matte finish, the head and the back, really nice. And I think also the fact that the illusion of the cowl, having it on and being so, branched off like that over his shoulders, makes it look like he has a smaller head. But if you look at the head up close with the torso and and the chest rather, and you see that it's not really that wide. And another thing I've seen people complaining about is how Mcfarlane cut this here. But if you look at it closely, the idea is the cuts on anything when you do joints that are articulated always don't look right. They look messed up to begin with. So I think the idea was to give the illusion that the cuts were actual lines from the definition of Batman's six-pack. As you can see, the pack, there goes the line, and the pack. And that wave and line is to give you the indentation of the six-pack muscle that you see there. If this would have been in, maybe this was a, like what you call it, one of those cloth goods suit, this effect would work and look a lot better. But I think that was the whole idea behind it. I don't think he was just trying to make it look ugly. I think he was trying to make it look like it was the line from the six packs, so it kind of hides the the cut, even though it's almost impossible, because obviously you're going to see it there on the side. And you see that he has nice little details on the side, woven down, that look like almost like a special type of material, indicating that the suit more than likely is bulletproof. And it goes all the way down. It's almost like an ecto suit, or a Long John ecto wire suit underneath the actual bodysuit. The bat symbol is done really nice. It's nice and big and wide to make it look more comic bookish. And then, as you see here, he has the gauntlets in black, very nicely done, not too spiky, with his bat glove, and then the ball pegs there, obviously. Same thing on the other side. These pieces on the shoulders, although they're part of the cape, it's almost it was molded where it pops up, it stays up, so they don't really even touch the shoulders, the illusion that they're wrapped around the shoulders, you can see. But one thing I did like is, if you see there, the way he did it, his neck, Batman's neck, is on a different ball peg piece. So it's a separate piece. So it gives the illusion that this is a suit over his neck, which no other Batman figure has really done. And I like the way that looks. It makes it feel more, I don't know, authentic, if that makes any sense, or realistic. But if you look at him with the shoulders up, you see that he's not really proportioned incorrectly. He has a nice proportion and build. Shout outs again to Review Spot, because he called the package distortion. He said hashtag package distortion, because it's one of those things that just doesn't represent correctly in packaging until you have them out of packaging. And his waist is really nice and the right, not too thin, not too wide. Even here, the bat utility belt looks really well done in yellow, painted really well. I've seen some people said they had bleeding black going through it, so maybe it's just depends on figure to figure basis, obviously, going all the way to the back. As you can see, you see some paint there. The buttocks area of his dungaroos, or his bataroos, right, his superhero underoos. And then obviously the feet, which a lot of people try to act and say that his feet were thicker than Superman's, and they really are not. They're actually about the same size, if not maybe a little smaller. And then the boots don't really line up with the knee. I don't know why. I think they was probably glued that way, and they do not move, so I don't want to mess it up. But they're sculpted like that. But it's not too bad, not terrible, but it looks a little weird. Maybe it's just giving you the idea that it's muscles moving and flexing. And then his shoes that are part of the boots, obviously, which actually look kind of big in person to me. That's the only thing I think feels too, a little bit big. But they're not, overly big, but I feel like they're too big. I don't know. You see? They're not terrible, though. And then the sculpting is really nice. And then we look back at the cowl and the bat's cape, and you see that it's a really nice, billowing out to the side and opening up in the bottom kind of sculpting. I don't really care if they're plastic or cloth goods. I like cloth goods because it makes it look more, I guess, premium grade and realistic. But I like the plastic, especially if it's done and executed well, because it makes it look really nice when you're posing them, even though it can hinder in some cases. In this case, it's so soft. I mean, look at this thing. It's retarded soft. It almost feels like gum when you chewed it for a while. It's so soft. And there's nothing in the back, so there's nothing hindering it. It's glued on, I think, to the ball peg in the head, but that's about it. But it's done really, really well. And so one of the other pluses that I see that he did with this figure is that he definitely amped up the smoothness of the articulation. The articulation is buttery smooth, and this is how he needs to do every single figure and every single line moving forward. Even if he doesn't change any of the cuts of how he does his articulation, with this type of smoothness, you will get really good dynamic range to pose and do really high dynamic poses with these figures. First, we'll start with the head. As you guys know, the head here goes, oh boy, doesn't want to, it goes left, right, it goes down that much, and then it goes up this much. And then definitely has an attitude. Tilt, tilt. So it has a whole range of movement, and it's not loose. It's a tight fit. And then, as far as the torso joint, obviously it goes left and right, and then it goes down without bending this. Still, keep in mind, this is just me pushing down on this right there. It goes down pretty well, like that much, and then it goes back without pulling the other part that much, like so. Like so. Then if you do it with the bottom piece, it'll do it even more. And now he looks down, even with the head, that much. And then back, that you'll see the gap in there. And then back with the head is that much. Which is really nice range of movement. You see all the details are lined up really well in the bicep and in the arms. They don't look small at all. Then in the waist, you see it has a swivel. Look how buttery smooth it is. It just moves like nothing. Very, very, very smooth. Waist swivel is very, very, very smooth. It's like cotton candy. Then in the shoulders, you just lift this up here, and you'll see here that he has the butterfly joint, as you can see there. It moves in the other direction. You move it, and you cannot be scared to move it. They move. Now, you warm it up, heat it up, with hot water, with the heater of the car, or even, some with a blower, you can pop it both right out, take this out, and all the paint that's stuck will loosen up, and you won't have no problem moving it. You move the shoulders up this much, as you see there. Then you can move it 180 degrees with no problem. Bicep swivel, no problem. Double jointed elbow, no problem. It's right in his face. As you can see, then obviously the ball joint that moves left and right, and then you can move the hands in any direction. And if you move it a different direction, and then hold it and then move the hand, and you can just move it like in and out, which is really universal. You can do a lot of different things with that ball peg. And you bring it down, and you see it goes right back into place without losing any of the scope as far as how it's form fitted on there on his body. Then the legs split all the way up. He does, like, this is even retarded. No Marvel Legends does that. All you Marvel Legends fans that love hating. Then it's still the same universal peg here. But what he did was he did it loose and bigger around the edges. So you get the boy swivel on the top, but it actually does it without any hindrance. So it's like super, super loose. and it goes around in circles, as you can see. The whole entire thing, it's separate, you see, and it works really well on both of them. They don't feel tight the way they usually feel, that you can barely get any movement. So that's really good. So you move the leg, want to move it like that. You go to pose them, you can. Then at the double hinge knee, as you can see there, and then you have the up, down ball peg, left and right, and then obviously, dun dun dun. Let's leave this forward. You see the seam is forward, right? And then magic. Wow! Look, front peg rockers. You see that? Oh. You see that? He has rockers, ladies and gentlemen. Rockers while I'm holding it forward. For those that say it doesn't have rockers, it really does. I don't know why people keep saying that. Especially people with experience with figures. And it has a toe hinge, as you can see there. Then he goes up this much straight, as you can see, and he goes back towards direction, but in a slant form. So the range of articulation not only is the best that we've seen so far in Mcfarlane because of the smoothness that he added. It has almost that smoothness that you always find with the Storm collectibles. For those of you who know and collect Storm collectibles and are familiar with it, that's the smoothness that you feel when you're moving him around, as you can see there. Put him against this alley backdrop, and he looks pretty cool. So we're gonna look at him now with the accessories and maybe in some positions and see what he looks like. And here he is, as you see him with his grappling gun and his batarang, looking pretty sweet in all of his glory. Just move him around, pose him a little bit. He would look from the backside profile, as you can see. It's a nice dynamic pose. He holds very well. Doesn't really, get hindered by the movement at all. This is all too based on your liking of how you like to display him as well too. And it works really well. Like, it really works really, really well. Like I said, really, really nice, man. Really nice. Really nicely done. So, for those who doubt that he can pose in dynamic great positions, no, he really can. He really can pose in really nice positions. So here we have him with something like this, and now we'll try something else. And here we have him in another position, actually in a flight stand display. Would have been nice if he brought one just like the one that Superman has, with that clear pole and the peg where you can use it as, it's actually a uniform stand where you can use it as a flank stand, and it's a standardized stand for standing figures that are non-flying. So Mcfarlane, if you so happen by any chance and dumb luck be able to watch my review, please keep that in mind and thought to just add that type of stand for all these DC figures, because I think it not only will fit well to keep the continuity, but they look way, way nicer than the standard round plastic ones. Not that those are bad, but they're just not as cool looking with the clear plastic translucency on it. So, there he goes. He's nice dynamic pose, like he's coming down with the, the bat, boomerang gun, So now let's compare him with some other Batman figures from other lines that I have in different scales as well. So now, as you can see here, this is him next to some of the Batmans I have. I also have the Michael Keaton NECA one and the Adam West TV series one, and Christian Bale and Val Kilmer. I have all those so far. I'm only missing George Clooney, which I hope they do the George Clooney one as well. And as you can see, this is some entries from different people, but we'll start off with, real quick, take a closer look at the Batman from Mattel from the Injustice. And as you can see, his head is really, really small next to the rest of his body. Really nicely detailed and sculpted, but not really a lot of range either of articulation, very limited. But as you can see, that he is also got a really small head. People, probably didn't complain about him as much. I'm not really sure, but they respected what Mattel did. They didn't really question it because it was true to the source material. Same thing here. Here's the one that's really nice. This is a pleasant surprise from the brand new Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles straight to DVD animation. And this one is a GameStop exclusive. As you can see, very nicely done. And my favorite color of Batman is blue with gray. I don't know if he's going to make one like the classic one in blue and gray, Mcfarlane, but if he does, I will get it immediately because that's the ones that I like. As you can see, it's really nice and close to it, but the head, the only reason it looks more proportionate with the body is because the face is kind of long with the pointy ears on this one. But also, that's more of a 6-inch scale as well, and the head is not really that much bigger. Then we have, what I have was my favorite and one of the most expensive ones you can get in the market right now, the creme de la creme. Also is DC Universe Classics, classic gray and blue Batman, as you can see, with the black marking in his face. And if you look at him too, his head didn't look quite as big for his body. It's supposed to be the tightness of the cowl on the head as well. And I have him. He's really nice. But all these figures were amazing when they first came out. And now, through the time, when you go back and look at them, some of them, haven't really aged well. They just look very dated and very old. And then, of course, I have the Super Friends Detective Comic Batman with this stupid grin where he looks always happy, which I do not like, with bat symbol in gray, in black, that is really doesn't have the classic yellow in it, and I hate that. But still a nice figure with the same buck almost, blue boots, black trunks as opposed to blue. And then the cape as well. He comes with a figure of Batmite, if I'm not mistaken. And then as you see here, I have also the Batman Beyond DC Multiverse that came out not too long ago with the wave with Nightwing as well. But this one, on the other hand, the head looks a lot bigger than the body. But a lot of people don't like this, but this actually for me is very perfectly and accurately proportioned Batman Beyond. He was skinny, lanky, more like an acrobat, looking like an acrobat, than built and massive and more stocky and brutal looking, and with the wings. And I think he's proportioned a lot better, even though his hands look skinny as well. And the only thing, his head looks bigger, but I think that's how it was also in the actual animation. As you can see, there is his Batarang looking really different, and the wings in the back attached to him, and it doesn't look out of whack, especially when you have them displayed together in the shelf. So, you know, I'm not a big fan of the black, but in this case, I had to get this Batman because it was new and it was from Mcfarlane. So I had to dive in and just take a look for myself. Look at that majestic Batman look. So what I'll do is real quick, I do have a head, just in case you guys are curious, that I can swap out for this one really fast. And as you can see there, it is a ball peg. And it's the one that belongs to the Build-A-Figure of the Mattel Multiverse Samurai Batman. And I put it on his head. And this is based off an animation, Japanese animation style look. And then you can see what he looks like with it on. And there he goes. I mean, I personally don't like the way it looks. Just something's off from it. But for those that are curious, that's what it looks like. Maybe that might work for you. I don't know. I guess it doesn't look terrible, but it doesn't look great either to me. Or maybe just because I know it's not supposed to be for this figure. And it does fit pretty good in the ball peg, by the way. So you can pull that off without doing much customization, just a head swap, if you like the way that looks. You know, it stands pretty good. And another thing I want to point out too is that in the black, it's more like it has like a blue, navy blue hues on it. You can't really tell now on the video, probably, or maybe you can, but it's there. Trust me, it really is there. And it looks good because it looks like he has some blue accents the way it comes out and the way they draw them to give it highlights in comics, which is kind of neat. It's really nice, you know. So what I'll do is now too is bring in a couple of more of other figures from DC to see how he looks with them side by side, and we'll end the video and review from there. So here I have him in a classic group shot of, you know, Kevin Hart, Robin, as far as size, and you know, Superman from the multiverse, Mcfarlane, and the Wonder Woman from the DC Essentials, which she fits in really, really well. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of, take he's going to do with Wonder Woman. I'm very, very curious in getting the new Batgirl with the new Bat costume. And as you can see, Robin is shorter, so he still looks pretty good next to him side by side, to be honest, with the classic Robin. This is my classic Robin, which I'm really upset because I'm being in the tote and bins for a long time. I took him out for this actual video a couple days ago, and when I was posing him and putting him together with his weapons and accessories, I guess since it's been a while and it got brittle, it broke on me on the waist, so I can no longer waist swivel him. So I had to glue it together, and hopefully I can try to get a replacement, which is going to be very expensive, and I don't know if I want to do that anytime soon, but you guys know what that feels like. So yeah, it's not cool, not fun. You know, I think he looks really good. I really think he's going to be a nice addition to your shelves, especially if you guys enjoy Batman figures, if you enjoy DC in general. Yeah, they're in a different scale, but you can mix and match with different styles and scale, and I think it'll work really well. Just to give you another example, I have a nice Batgirl right here from DC Essentials as well. You guys probably, as soon as you see her, will be familiar with her, which she looks really good. and she scales really nice as well, as you can see. So it doesn't look bad at all. It, just I'm the type of person. I'm from the mindset where don't listen even to my review. Don't listen to anyone's review. Go out, make the investment if you can, or wait until you see him on sale. Make the investment then, and see for yourself if he's worth your time or your purchase. Because I think 9 times out of 10 you're going to be pleasantly surprised, and you're going to have a different feel, outtake, and look based on your own personal, experience with the actual figure once you get him in hand and you see what he has to offer. And shout outs to Review Spot again, how he said, package distortion. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing once you have him in hand. And also, just to give you an example of how short the DC were, here's which I think I put her on the stand. This is the DC Classics Wonder Woman right there, next to the Batman, right? She looks still pretty great. And maybe just for fun, oh yeah, and I have a DC Classics, but she was $5 in Target, by the way. DC Classics Poison Ivy. I put them real nice and close there for like a really superheroic shot. Let's see, right there. And then just for fun, I'll put He-Man, the William Stout movie He-Man, back here somewhere next to them, so you can see. Peeking on his head. There you go. Hey, happy people, there you go. I hope you enjoyed my review, my unboxing, my thoughts. I hope it was informative. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helps you out. I hope it was different than what everybody else that you've seen out there, because I know it's a lot of people that reviews these guys so far out there, and it gets kind of boring. Look at the same thing. I get it, but remember that each individual YouTuber, figure collector, influencer always has something different and their own style and take to offer to you guys, the audience and the viewers, and even some of you being fans. With your love and support, without you guys, our channels are not possible and wouldn't mean anything and could not keep going forward. So I personally am very grateful for every and each and single one of you, and a big shout outs to all the guys and subscribers that I've been getting as of late. I've gotten a slew of subscribers, and it's all because of my figure reviews as well, and they're showing me a lot of love and a lot of good feedback and respect and appreciation to what I'm doing, and that means the world to me, because once you subscribe to my channel, I know you don't have to, but if you did, you become part of my family. I've said that on and on again, and that's truly how I feel. I consider you guys a family in the YouTube scene, in the YouTube industry and world. So, guys, leave a like with a thumbs up. You can leave a dislike with a thumbs down. And let me know what you think. Share it with someone you think might like it, might enjoy it. And, of course, as always, if you're new to my channel and haven't subscribed, here you go. You can see now what I have to offer on my channel, what I try to do, and I would try to continue getting better and better going forward all the time. So if you are so kind and don't mind and enjoy what I did here, feel free to subscribe, because it'll help me just grow and get better and make my content a lot more fresh, better looking with lighting and camera and all types of things of that nature, and so forth and so forth. Just like if you feel from the kindness of your heart that you'd like to help me in any way, shape, or form in the future, because you love what I do and because you feel the kindness of doing so. Let me sneak in maybe Moth in here. Uh-oh, he's too big. No. You can always find information of my PayPal and my my Patreon down in the description below, so you know what to do. I don't have to tell you anymore. Guys, Moth is part of one of the upcoming videos where I was talking about what other figures in the DC world that are kind of rare, haven't been really touched and look back, I would like to see McFarlane bring back with this line to reintroduce and to reinvigorate and give a new take and fresh look at them. Guys, it's been fun. See you on the next one. Love you very much. Peace.